Meghan Markle really thought she could become queen, literally queen bee. As we know, she liked the idea of moving into Windsor Castle alongside our wonderful and brilliant late monarch Queen Elizabeth II. But now her team have told her that simply, if she'd have done this, she literally could have become queen bee. As ever, let me explain. Morning, lovely to see you. Thank you so much on this beautiful day today. Looks very nice, doesn't it? Yes, a little bit warm already. Well, it's always good to share, isn't it? A little bit warm, absolutely. By the way, somebody said to me the other day they'd bought a jar of beetroot for the first time in ages. And I looked that up, even that's expensive, isn't it? Love beetroot though, don't you? How do you like it? Cheese? I like cheese and beetroot sandwiches. You'll make some. I'm coming. That's it. Oh, absolutely. I love those, yes. You've got to be careful, haven't you, blokes, because they fire out, you know, and it can be on your tie. Looks like you've cut yourself shaving then, doesn't it? The delights, of course, of traditional foods are always nice, aren't they? But, you know, when you haven't heard about beetroot for ages, just get you thinking, doesn't it? Now, as I say, I looked at the price. It's like everything, isn't it? And is it as tasty? Do you like it? Do let me know as ever in the comments below. Love beetroot. Well, don't, in fact, no, let's not go there. Back as ever to your royal story of the day. Now, it's interesting this because on a more serious note, as we saw at the weekend, you know, Catherine, again, really the real star of the British monarchy. Just a fleeting glimpse in many respects, but really, when you think every single front page around the world, everybody carried that beautiful picture. I thought she looked sensational. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen her looking any better. You know, people were very critical in certain aspects, but I thought she just looked fabulous, to be honest. And given what she's gone through and given the Herculean effort just to get it all ready, as I said before, really does need applause, because, you know, it takes a lot when you don't feel particularly great. I know, we're the same, aren't we? Absolutely. But what's interesting here, you see, is as Meghan and Harry look towards the demise of their popularity, you know, the one thing that Harry allegedly promised Meghan was the fact that she would be on equal billing, the queen bee of the royal family. And we saw that, didn't we? The problem that Meghan really had in having to curtsy, stand behind Catherine at Wimbledon, stuff like that. She was never going to be a stand-back. She always saw herself as an international superstar, even though, of course, she'd only really been a briefcase girl on Deal or No Deal, had some lame kind of blog, and then popped up not even as a star of Suits, but as a seventh down the line. But that's the ego of many, you know, actors, and I use that term loosely. But you see, her team have now literally been saying this. What's interesting, you see, Harry and Meghan, they couldn't wait to vault off the freedom flight, all that sort of stuff. But Meghan has been told by her team, and this is the reason I believe why they want to sort of make some inroads back into the royal life, is that, well, look, if you think about it in this particular situation, where would you have been now in 2024? His Majesty the King out of action earlier on because of his own health crisis, and then the Princess of Wales out of action for many months because of her health crisis. That would have led the door wide open for you to take command, become literally loved, adored by the British people, the Commonwealth, and naturally around the world. And this was told to Meghan by one of her latest team, and apparently she's pondered this very hard. And I kid you not, you've got to remember, people, I've worked with these sort of people, they believe what they want to believe. If somebody tells them that, they believe it. And they believe it because, of course, these people are being paid by them, and you're literally spoon feeding whatever they need to hear. Now, of course, what's interesting is that dream surely has turned, it's gone, it's missing, it's never going to come back. Not apparently in Meghan and Harry's eyes. It wouldn't take too much to persuade people to accept them back into the fold. You know, they're great sort of remiss, that type of thing. I'm not suggesting for one moment that Meghan Markle would bend down and say, I'm terribly sorry, please forgive me. That's not her style. She doesn't need to. Harry could do that on her behalf. We've seen it done many times. But what's interesting to think is that this is the remit that they're going down to sort of say, if you'd have been there, if you'd have just waited a little bit longer. But as we saw, Meghan waits for no one. Meghan gets what Meghan wants, as Harry famously said. But even he has basically openly been strong enough to say, if we'd have just waited a little bit longer, things could have been differently. And when you think about it, if they had been a little bit differently, Meghan wouldn't need to now be trying to flog dog biscuits or indeed lame pots of jam online. But even that apparently is very tentatively, shall we say, difficult to bring up. In her eyes, this is a move forward. Now, when you're thinking like that, how then could you possibly think that you could become the Queen of Hearts, Princess Diana, across the Commonwealth and finally across the world? But that's the world that Meghan lives in. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.